From the liberal Northeast comes a lone voice of truth. Honest commentary in dishonest times. Think deeper with Juan Newsom. This is the Cure Radio Program. This is the Cure.
Hey folks, this is Juan Newsom, Cure Radio. I have Cat from Kathy Talk. So the Bernie bros are out of it.
Were they ever really in it? That's the question.
I think they were, honestly. I think, look, the conventional wisdom is that, okay, you got to attract, you have to attract people from all across the political spectrum in order to win the presidency. But you have to say, more so than any of the other Democratic candidates that were in the primary, Bernie Sanders had the most excitement out of all of the candidates. And then there were a lot of young people voting. Even though in some of the states where there was, and throughout the primaries, there were, in terms of the actual numbers of the people coming out to vote for Sanders, were below the expected, given the amount of energy and enthusiasm that was kind of behind this campaign. So,
it's always easy to be excited and energized when you're sitting at home on your computer tweeting, but it really comes down to how much faith you have in the person as a candidate that you would actually get up and go out and vote for them. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Democrats are going to fall short. You might rally behind them and defend them on Facebook, but are you really going to get yourself up and go to a polling place and vote for this specific candidate? Do you feel that strongly? They don't have anybody right now. None. Mm-hmm. Nobody. So it is what it is. What do you think he's going to do with his money, though?
Buy another house. I don't know. I mean, the guy is old, man.
Mm-hmm. I think he just liked the idea of campaigning. I don't even think he really believed in himself, like that he was going to go as far as he did. I think he likes having a movement. But obviously, especially in this situation where we have this crazy virus pandemic, what really would be his strategy if he is in the high-risk group that isn't even capable of addressing the nation or meeting with the press or meeting with the people he needs to meet with during this time, if he could be susceptible to the infection more so than another candidate, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think really when you look at the Democrats from top to bottom now, if left up to them, this pandemic situation would be worse.
For sure.
You look at the fact that, Bernie Sanders said it himself that he wasn't even willing to close the borders and, to put restrictions on immigration in order to, in order to keep the American people safe. So,
right.
Definitely, and Biden, forget about it. Is he going to be lucid for the next few months? So,
no.
I really don't. I really don't know where the Democrats go from here. Go from here.
They need to make peace with the fact that Trump is going to be the president for the next 4 years, and it is what it is. Otherwise, they're just going to be more angry.
Wow.
More defiant. If you look at it, the most defiant areas, which is the major cities, because of their ideology, are exactly the locations where this virus is hitting the hardest, because their ideology and their hatred for Trump has made them a high-risk group because they're unwilling to listen to anything this man has to say, even if it's to save their own freaking lives.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. That's that's a great observation. That's a great observation. I'm gonna tell you another thing too. You talk about ideologies in major cities. You look in New York City. In New York State, the last few months had bail reform. They also had, they had bail reform, and they reformed the criminal justice system in certain ways. Um, they kind of like empower the criminal. Now you have
Mhm.
these restrictions, these draconian restrictions in on the city, and businesses are closed. And now the crime rate is skyrocketing, man. And so who's going to enforce the law? You basically handcuff the police with these new bail reform laws and with these new restrictions on how and when they can enforce the law, coupled with this current crisis.
Well, it's a perfect opportunity, right? It's the perfect storm of people who make decisions based on emotions and the need to seek out equality and reparations and fixing the injustices of, societal or this one term I keep seeing on Facebook is institutional racism. Institutional racism. Okay, so you're gonna fix institutional racism by allowing people who do actually commit crimes and who do um, exhibit horrendous behaviors and are a threat to society. Your way of reparations is to give them more ability to carry out crimes. That's good. That's a good way to solve the problem of institutional injustice. It doesn't make any sense. And this is what happens. You see it play out in a time when we're at our weakest point, where police are not going to go and enforce robberies and things like that. Why would they put themselves at risk when we have this huge crisis going on?
Well, this is exactly why law-abiding citizens, and this is what I can't stand about New York. They do so much to disenfranchise gun owners and to
Mm-hmm.
keep people from owning guns. In LA, now I'm gonna give people a little history lesson here. I know there's a lot of millennials that listen to my podcast, but in LA, when they had the Rodney King riots in LA, right? Asian businesses in downtown LA, they had guns. They were standing on the roof of their stores, and they were threatening to shoot people on site for entering their property. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how you save businesses in a crisis like this,
That's a
because
deterrent.
exactly, you can't police aren't going to always be there, and there's not
No.
police. So, and in New York State and New York City, they are one of the worst offenders of disenfranchising gun owners and people that seek to acquire firearms and so forth, and to get concealed carry license and
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in New York, I will say, having the New York to Georgia experience, and also when I lived in Florida, but in New York, the presence of the police is so entrenched in the regular population. Like when you walk down any city block,
mm-hmm.
you're going to see a police car, somewhere driving by, cops on the corner, cops in the train station. I mean, there's tons of cops everywhere. So in New York specifically, I don't feel the need to have a gun as a protective as protection just walking around, because there's about 20 cops all over the place at any given time. In out here, I'm in the middle of the woods. Like, what sheriff county? I don't even know who to call. Like, who's gonna come and save me, if something goes down on my property? By the time they get here, it's like 20 minutes. So out here, it's a no-brainer to have guns, ammunition, and all of that. Concealed carry. People go to Publix with their firearm on. It's not a big deal. But in New York City, I never felt that it was necessary, even though it's a higher crime, area.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, I used to live in New York, um, and yeah, the police presence is prevalent, but still, there's a lot of crime in New York.
Yeah, but you're not gonna solve it with a gun.
It
You
depends.
just really don't. Like, I always carried pepper spray. So if you're talking about somebody robbing you, unless you're getting robbed at gunpoint,
Hmm.
um, if somebody comes up to rob you, like, I had pepper spray. Most of the stuff was really like getting too close to whatever other altercations were happening. So like if people were fighting in the train station and you're on the train, they happen to be beating each other up on, like, what the hell are you gonna do with a gun? You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, it could be
Like, what are you gonna
situational.
do? So in New York, it's so densely populated that the idea of everybody having a gun is like crazy. Out here, not having a gun is crazy. It's like, what are you talking
Hmm.
about? You're not walking around with a gun. Like, what?
It's cultural. I can see it.
Yeah.
It's cultural, and it depends on the geography, the type of geography you're in, and
And the type
I
of
get
people
all of
you're
that.
around.
Yep.
The
I
type
just
of
think
people you're around
I
is a
just
big
think
deal.
if I lived in Manhattan, right, I wouldn't, and this is just me, I wouldn't feel the need to have like, maybe an AR-15, right? Maybe I would have a 22 or
Right. Exactly.
or a Glock 40, something
Right. Something
smaller,
you could carry.
something that's easily concealed and that I could
Yes.
carry. It wouldn't have to be anything big. I'm in Georgia or Florida or whatever. Of course, I'm gonna have my Glock, my regular Glock that I like, and then I have me, a shotgun or a rifle, you know.
Yeah.
So it just really, but I still think it should be more of an option in a place like New York, especially for single women.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Um,
should
I
definitely
would.
have access to a firearm.
Yeah, I would definitely have like a little pink 22 that like fits somewhere cute in a little purse or something next to my cell phone. I would
Yep.
definitely have something. But honestly, I never felt like and I lived in the projects. So I
Yep.
used to walk home through the projects. Every time I went out, came back, this was before Uber and Lyft, when you had to actually take the train or a yellow cab or whatever. I never was felt like I needed to have a weapon on me at any
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
I always had pepper spray, and I
Mhm.
felt like that was a good deterrent, to keep people far enough away that I could run towards a cop somewhere. You know what I mean? I could like get away from a situation.
Mhm.
So,
Oh man.
and there's a lot of people you definitely don't want carrying a weapon, being able
Yeah.
to get one,
Yeah.
especially in New York.
Well, I mean, the back, it is debatable. I mean, I've owned firearms, and all kind of practically. I started buying them when I first moved out of the house when I was 18, back in Virginia. So the background check over time has evolved.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
even then, it was pretty stringent. I mean, you still had the NICS system when I started buying. It would still hit all of the relevant databases in the country. So it's like, and you go to different places like Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, where in California where it's way stringent. So I still think the background system is pretty relatively good.
yeah,
Even in places like Texas, you can, it's where it's a little bit more friendlier, easier to get your concealed carry, or Georgia, Texas, Pennsylvania,
Yeah, I
Florida.
heard it's really easy.
Yeah, to get your concealed carry in Pennsylvania, all you need is like, 2 people to basically vouch for you, and it's easier to get a concealed carry and stuff like that. But even in those places, like if you got any type of mental health issues, or if you've been flagged by the ATF for mental health reasons, they'll stop your so even in places where it's easier to get a gun, the background checks are really great. So yeah, I just don't see the need. At times I feel as though when I look at some of these politicians, they want to kind of discourage ownership, for the individual citizen, when it's really the citizen's butt is on the line when something happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is The Cure.